Hi, and welcome to a reading of The Fifth Dimension, written by Matias De Stefano and the I Am, presented by me, your friend and fellow seeker Alex. I hope you enjoy, and without further ado, let's get into it. I'm too sleepy today. Better, because to enter the fifth dimension, you'll need to sleep. From here, things get a little weirder. How do you mean? Enough to know that logic won't help you, although we will try it. The 5D is the threshold towards the strange, the incomprehensible. It is the one who opens the doors to the most subtle and psychedelic dimensions. Oh yeah, I remember. When I was little, I could feel the fifth dimension. It connected me to part of what I am today. It opened me to a world of infinite possibilities, but over time it faded away. My guides advised me to humanize myself, otherwise I would never be able to communicate or fulfill my role as a human. So I was doing that. I was humanizing myself. But that distanced me from 5D, attracting me more and more to the perception of 3D. I found that I liked it. I didn't see living in 3D as a disgrace, but as something great, an adventure. But in the spiritual world, linked to the 5D ideology, the fact that he was so much in 3D seemed to be underestimated. I've heard people tell me, "You've disconnected, you're not doing it right. Matias lost the connection. He's not what he is anymore." I saw that as too easy a judgment, without understanding that it was part of my process to do what I do today. Like someone who judges the one who climbs the mountain for climbing and not yet already being at the top. And yet, when I had to connect again, it was difficult for me. And I think it was because I had begun to see the connection almost as a classism. See who is more connected than who listens to the teachers and avatars of the 5D and who doesn't. As if someone in the third had the ability to judge how the connection of the fifth is. So at this time of reconnecting, I refused. I felt evaluated and judged, and interpreted that whether or not being connected was almost like belonging to a club. I preferred not to continue. But this human tantrum I had was silenced by one of my guides who told me the connection is now. But I had humanized myself so much. So, ayahuasca. I had always refused. I didn't want to do it. I was afraid of losing control over myself, over who I am. I was afraid that all my portals would open up and the session would end in an exorcism, something that had happened before. I steadfastly refused to ingest anything foreign to me that would alter my state of perception. But one day, while in Mendoza, Argentina, I lost my way. Normally, I'm always connected to matter, knowing where the cardinal points are like a bird. But that time I got lost. I didn't know where I was, and I stayed at a friend's house waiting. But the access would not arrive so easily again. Then I understood. My geographical access is Chile, so I decided to travel there and prepare myself. The night I arrived, everything was stolen. There I understood that I had to start from zero. So I did ayahuasca. How was it? Like a dream, but much more real. It was like coming home. I did not feel anything of what they usually say, discomfort, vomiting, nothing. I spoke with the plant before ingesting it, and I told it I'm here to return to myself. From the roots of the earth I trust, and I will not set any limits. I will allow you to enter every last one of my cells. Show me everything. Then the plant told me, there are two ways to do this path, through purging and healing, or through expansion and reconnection. The first involved rummaging my body. The second involved opening it. I opted for the second. Then I immediately stopped feeling the physical body from the navel down to the feet and began to expand. I went through the history of each kingdom, mineral, vegetable, and animal. I saw all the options. I realized that I was living the fourth dimension. And at one point I said, "This is not me," and everything vanished. And my grandma said, "Maybe this is you." Then she showed me the void, and a small red light that like a spark went off and on. I started running after her, looking for her until I managed to take her between the tips of two of my fingers. And when I brought her close to my eyes, I saw the beauty of her. It was a ruby red and radiant, in the shape of an octahedron. The same was replicated by millions around me, and I could notice how each held a reality within. If I turned this precious gem, all the others turned, showing me a galaxy. And if I turned it another way, I saw DNA. until I managed to take it between the tips of my 2 fingers. And when I brought her close to my eyes, I saw the beauty of her. The macrocosm and the microcosm. In the middle of the void, it was everything and it was nothing. But mostly, I realized something. What? That I was neither one nor the other. I was neither the galaxy nor the DNA. I was neither the macro nor the micro. I was neither the time nor space. What were you? It was the logic between them. It was the connection itself. I realized that everything told me that I needed to reconnect. I felt abused, as if I were an object and had a plug that had to be connected to an external current in order to turn on. But when I saw this, I remembered. Having connection again does not mean that I'm an object without light and it is delivered to me from an eternal source, but rather that I am the connectivity myself. I have in me the battery of positive and negative. I am the logic of interconnection. That is, without me, the rest does not exist. A single neuron is nothing. 2 separate neurons are nothing. 2 connected neurons are a datum, which guides the creation of a thought. Many connected neurons are an idea leading to action. Space is the end of the macrocosmos, while time is the end of the microcosm. Both are one, but they have no logic without connectivity. And it is here where the perception of the 5th dimension is born. How do you understand the 5D? Because we think we have a distorted image. Tell me. Well, when I think of this dimension, I imagine the eternal heaven, a kind of divine place where the teachers, the guides, and the major angels meet. A place of cities, of light, of crystal, where soft music plays, and sacred, a place of dreams of idyllic. You're not mistaken. If you understand that the 5D is the light and connected projection of the 3D, that is, that if in the 5D everything is about the interconnectivity that gives logic to the aspects of creation, then it is natural that the beings that inhabit it see them as teachers or guides because they know very well the things that will happen and why they happen. In the 3rd, things happen, that is, objects manifest. In the 4th, things happen, that is to say that the processes which the objects go through are seen. In the 5th. In the 5th, things happen for a reason, that is, time and space gain logic and understanding. They are integrated into consciousness. What does 5D actually look like? Do you remember the tesseract? Well, we are going to make your image more complex. Take a cube. You have 3D. Project its vertices in any direction, creating another cube extended from the first one, and now you have 4D. Now take these 2 cubes and project them again, and from each of their vertices, generating the appearance of 4 more cubes, you have 5D. So the 5D would be like a kind of extension of the other 2. It is the observer of the observed. It is if this cube lives in 3D and goes through a process in 4D. This means that the entire experimentation of the universe happens between these 2 dimensions. The 1st dimension and the 2nd dimension are fundamental parts of the 3rd. The 3 make up the reality you live. The 4th allows the 3D to transform itself into its different potentialities. And the 5D is the one that will tell you how and why. He does it because he sees more points of view. It can be in all times and all spaces of a being or object. It can contemplate all its potentialities and understand the logic of its movements, the results of its actions. In the aspect of physics, the 5D is what sustains sidereal space, what they call dark matter. That it would be everything that contains the planets and stars, and that seems to be a vacuum, and that still suffers alterations due to gravity. That's right, this matter that cannot be touched or understood according to the laws of physics exists in the dimensions that holds the foundation of physics. In a way, 5D is a mirror of gravity. It reflects time and space. For this, we need to understand gravity. From Isaac Newton and his apple, we could understand that gravity is one of the fundamental forces that influence the acceleration of masses. In that objects attract each other. On a macrocosmic level, it is what causes objects levitating near a planet to be drawn towards it, accelerating their speed as they approach. This, if we contemplate space as something empty, and it's not, at least not in other dimensions. Now, in order to understand this, you have to differentiate object from space. Space is a measure factor of distance in which an object develops or moves. A car, when traveling, slides through a space. Time is the other factor of measurement by which an object moves. So we have two vectors connecting at an angle of 90 degrees in the form of an L, describing time x and y space, and a third vector which will move diagonally across time and space measure. As you will see, space is not equal to matter, but is equal to the distances by which it moves. The universe is a constant of time and space by which by collapsing into each other generate matter, the third factor. The weight of this matter occupies a place in time and space constant, which causes the constant to curve. Weight in Latin is gravita, therefore the quality of weight on an object is known as gravity. Imagine that you have a bed with a very soft mattress and you put a tennis ball on it, then a soccer ball, and then a bowling ball. You will see that the surface of the mattress will curve towards the center of the weight, and the heavier it is, the other balls around it will tend to fall towards the larger one. In other words, it's as if all of space were a bed full of balls, on one heavier than the others, and the less heavy ones falling in a spiral towards the center, creating orbits. Gravity then is the weight that an object exerts on the space-time constant. But as you know, in space there is no up or down. There is no north or south. So this cushion that we describe is in all directions, and the weight is equivalent in any of these directions. Therefore, it works like a mirror. Gravity reflexes in every possible direction. The 5D holds time and space. The 5D is the dark matter that contains the thriving gravity as reflections of itself in each direction, like a cube of the image you have chosen. The same reality that propels its body in all directions at the same time. How far I am now from thinking? Well, not so much. So far, we have described this with the cube because it's visually easier, and understanding it through the weight of a star's gravity is the next easy step. But this is something that is replicated to each particle of matter, each object that occupies a place. Like your example, as long as a 3D body lives these three directions, your 4D body is experiencing all your possible times from when you exist as an individual to when you disappear as an individual. And at that very moment, the 5D is reflected, connecting the data of you are here and now with all your history, seeing you from each point of your gravity, connecting each aspect of your time and your space with the subject that you are. Thus, you can interpret the human being and having a brain with two hemispheres and two eyes in 4D. Everything you saw and thought will be projected. You see and you think, and you will see and you will think. But in 5D, the eyes of the observer are opened, in which your eyes are of time multiplied to observe his history, and your brain creates synapses and ideas that give logic to all your eternity. In the same way that you see all your spaces and think about all your options, this is how humans feel observed and guided by beings in the 5D. That is, I am myself multiplied in reflections that interconnect my options of time and space. I myself am my guides and teachers. And that doesn't mean that your guides and teachers don't exist and have their own life like you have here. They are beings with their own names, but in their dimensions they are not relevant. It is you who needs to call them north and south, up and down. You need measurable names in space. In the fifth dimension, you are their names, the strings that vibrate the data through time and space. They exist for me and I exist for them. I am the materialization of those who observe me from all points of view, from the full consciousness of who I am. That is why they can guide you and teach you, because they see where you are going. They know everything about you, because they are you, on another level. Here the cities are also projected in options, the plants, the worlds. That is why the fifth dimension is the guide and teacher of the 3D, in that it is one that orders, gives meaning, mission, understanding. It is the observer. Wow, it is the mirror of a labyrinth that fractalizes my being by hundreds, showing me everything that I can be and what I have been, helping me not to get lost in the immensity. And in all of these reflections, you discover all your potentials, your mastery, your shadows, and you see how they all refer to you as well as you to them. You can touch time and space. You are the tangent. You are the point of convergence. I am the unit. And when you love the unity in you, you will be all the teachers, because you will remember that all the wonders and wisdom of the dimension were always inside and outside of you. I am love and unity. This is the fifth dimension.